Hey guys, welcome to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today's the 20th of February 2015, meaning we are a mere 9 days away from I believe we're the 7th annual South Hills Modelers Association Model Car Show and Swap Meet. That will be my club's model car show that is March 1st. Yeah, we're going to retitle this Hope It Don't Snow show pretty soon because it looks like it's about to again. Right now it is all of like 2 degrees outside with wind chill of like 19 below, which I'm pretty sure is about what it is everywhere north of Florida. And even in Florida it's below freezing. So not a whole heck of a lot done on the McLaren for the top speed build for our other side of the channel thing. And probably Monday we'll do an update on that if there's anything to update. Really, I sort of kick myself into gear here. I did start it, but I have not played with it today yet. Added a new light over here to try to make it so I'm not sitting in the dark anymore. Looks like it's halfway decent from what I glance at myself. And we've got some more kits to add to the Revell list. Went back to the Revell's website middle of this week and saw that they had added some other kits to the one that they were saying they were going to release this month. And then we have some new kits out and some reissues to take a look at. So first up, the new stuff from Revell that, like I said, is supposed to come out in February. They sort of added it mid-month here, so be interested to see if it actually comes out next week. If you happen to have one of the preferred provider things from Revell, otherwise as usual, you have to wait till the beginning of March. But they've added the TV Tommy Ivo Showboat Dragster back onto the list. I know Lazy Eye Modeler, among other people, were very concerned when that was taken off the list last month. Well, now it apparently is back on the list for this month. Also added was the 2014 Mustang GT. This is the very simplified pre-painted kit. It is pre-painted a silver color with a blue stripe on it from the looks of what the box, the not really box art, but the photo art that Revell is showing on their website. 49 parts, so it's going to be another one of these kits like the Camaro and like the Challenger, where it's going to have 2 metal axles, a promo-style chassis, very basic, simplified engine, and be sort of somewhere in between a really low-end monogram kit and a snap-tight kit. So, I'm disappointed in the kit only in the sense that, because, the pre-paints, I don't care one way or the other. I have no dog in that fight, but the pre-paints, we saw this one come up. We were kind of hoping, this is before the Challenger and the ZL1 actually came out, that they announced this new set of them that they were putting out for the fourth quarter of 2014. And that was that they would have, like a real engine, or at least a multi-part engine, rather than like 5 or 6 part engine like they turned out to, because, of course, the 14 Mustang is the last of the previous generation Mustang and would have had that 5.0 Coyote motor. Now, the 13 Boss kit does have one, too, but it's not a stock 5.0. It's supercharged, I believe. And so it looks like if you really want one of those engines to pull out of a kit and transfer into a, modernized hot rod or rat rod or pro touring something, you're going to have to wait and see if Revell actually ever does offer a full glued kit for the 15 Mustang. Would have liked to have seen that announcement come out already, but since they've gone to quarterly announcements, you sort of have to take what they give you. And then the last one is the build and play, and this is interesting. This is being marketed now. Listen, 1/25th scale Ford police car. We've talked about that when the fourth quarter flyer came out, so this is not news, but I do find it very interesting. Unless you look up the Revelations, which is the little PDF newsletter thing that Revell puts out on used to be monthly, now it was bi-monthly, basis, there's no mention of the Crown Victoria anywhere. Now you may be thinking, well, that's because it's not. Oh, but it is. My thoughts on this police car, and I believe I am allowed to have thoughts on police cars based on the pile of stuff that's behind me, that, it's a twofold thing. And it's real hard, I know, for some people to believe that could be even like even the least bit, balanced on Revell, because I tend to, criticize them a lot, but they are the largest manufacturer in the United States. I criticize Fujimi when they have stuff go wrong and whatnot. So, it's just, they're the biggest, and, they're the target, I guess. But I see this as twofold, and I believe that is what happened at Revell as well. And unfortunately, I think the wrong side got a hold of this project. Now, the build and play, is becoming a more and more developed system. This is all the build and plays they've announced so far with this kit coming out at the end of the month. That'll be them all. But you have the Mustang, the 2015 Mustang, the Audi R8, the Jeep Rubicon that just came out last month, then this police car, and then if you were fortunate to live in a major Midwestern city like Detroit or Chicago, they were giving away those 2017 Ford Raptors at the auto show. Now, they're supposed to be putting out the Raptor as a kit in the coming months, but it wasn't on the second quarter release, so it's going to have to at least be a third quarter release at this point. With all these cars, trucks, and SUVs, well, Jeep's not really an SUV, but you know what I mean. You need some form of law enforcement. Somebody's going to steal them. Somebody's going to, just be a bad guy. So you need some cops. So I'm cool with the idea of having the police car. I think it's neat. It's a fun addition to a kid's, play things because these are toys, and I don't have a problem with that. The problem I have with it, and the problem that I've, echoed since this thing first showed up, was the fact that it's a carbon copy. Put the pen in the right here. Carbon copy of this kit back here. It's not that kit back there. No matter what you've heard or what you read online, it's not. They didn't take the Lindbergh tooling. They didn't buy it. They didn't steal it. They didn't repossess it. This tooling still belongs to Round 2 because they own Lindbergh now. They created an all-new tool of this. I keep pointing the pen in the wrong direction because I'm looking backwards. Of this model kit. I mean, these things are only like 25, 30 parts to begin with. I mean, some of them say 50 parts, but that's because the Ohio State Highway Patrol ones have that multi-pod vector light bar that, incidentally, is completely incorrect for the car that's on the box, but that's another point for another day. And that right there was 15 parts of the model kit because there's 7 individual pods, 7 individual rotators, and then the base, washers, and aero sticks is 16 parts. There's 12 parts to the build and play, and it looks like somebody took one of these things and back engineered it basically, because it's the bumper, at least the one I've seen floating around out there, is attached, whereas the front bumper on the Crown Vic Lindbergh made is separate. I don't understand this. I mean, I get the point of having a toy for your kids and having them have now they can play cops and robbers and all the rest of that stuff. But let's just say on a ballpark that it cost $100,000 to make the tool for the new Ford police car that Ford doesn't even want the Crown Victoria name attached to, because that would indicate that the car was at minimum 16 or 15 years old. I mean, the real car is 20 years old. The car they're making a kit of, but the Crown Victoria name stopped getting used on the police package in 1998. I don't understand why you use that car. I mean, so it's $100,000, let's say, because a full-on 110-part, 120-part model kit, generally the consensus is that it costs somewhere between $250,000 and like a little over $350,000 to make the tooling. So this is 12 parts, real simplified tooling, $100,000. It wouldn't have cost $100,001 to make it into something else. It was a brand new tool. They're not using the Lindbergh patterns. They're not using Lindbergh's plans. So they had to go find a real Crown Vic to measure, or build one of these kits and measure it backwards. But, the reason I say, and a lot of people are like, well, it's a kid's toy, and they won't realize. Kids aren't as dumb as you think they are. But trust me, I got 3 of them. They may not care that it's a 20-year-old car, but they'll know it's an old car. My kids, anybody who builds models' kids. Now, granted, the Joe Blow who's out at Walmart and sees the kit sitting on the shelf for $10, their kids may not know, that he may not know. But anybody who builds models, who's into cars in general, is going to know the car's old. And their kids are going to know the car's old, because our kids are sponges and they pick up everything that we do and say. Stop cursing in front of your children at Walmart. And so, in a sense, I get it. They won't care. I'll have a police car. Yay. But I think in the long term, this would have been much better served being something else. If you want to stick with Ford, Taurus Police Interceptor, Explorer Interceptor Utility. The SUV is actually selling way more than the actual Taurus is in real life. The Caprice 11 to current, the Tahoe from 2007 to 2014, a new Tahoe 2015, the Dodge Charger from 2011 to 2014. That was the the body style that's just sort of floating out there. That's not the new one. It's the one after the Lindbergh kit, the big glue Lindbergh kit, and or 2015 Charger, brand new one. If you would have made any of those other things, you would have sold a bajillion of them. Yes, that is the technical term. A metric shit ton, bajillion of them. Because guys who do custom police cars would have bought them by the caseload. Now, granted, I understand that customized police cars are not going to save or damn a tooling, but it would have sold a bunch more. Because when you look at the most recent police car kit that exists, it's the Lindbergh Dodge Charger, the 2006 to 2000. Well, it could really be up to 2010, but that has different taillights and different interior. But you could muff your way through. But it's an 06 to an 08 basically. But the kit has like 225 parts. It takes a while to build the thing. And most guys who do custom police cars usually are building die-cast, and they're buying the die-cast blanks by the case, and they take them apart, put the interior decals in them, put them back together again. They may not even paint them if they're already the right color, because you get them in white, black and white, and like two different shades of black and white, and then slap the decals on them and ship them out to the customer. If you're building a 124 scale, usually it's a retirement present or Christmas present, birthday present from the guys at the squad to one guy, or to their boss or wife to their husband or whatever. And so, they're willing to pay a little bit more money for it because it's going to be more work. But nobody was willing to pay for those Chargers. My buddy of mine came up to me and said, "Hey, I want a South Carolina Highway Patrol heat car out of one of those Chargers. What would you charge me for?" And I said, "Well, the kit's $30, the paint's going to be another $15, and then I got to find decals and have them made, so that's going to be at least another $30-40 right there. So I don't know, probably $300-400 on a discount. I mean, who's paying that kind of money? But a 12-part snap-tight kit, it's everything you need it to be, because the customized guy, it doesn't care about the chassis, doesn't care if it has an engine. He just wants something he can pile police equipment into the interior with, paint the outside of it if he has to, because you could have molded it in black and pre-painted it black and white, molded it black and white, however you want to look at it, and then put the decals on it, and out the door it goes. And it's a cheap price. It's going to be $10 a piece. Actually, that's less than, or right around the cost of a first response replica individual unpainted, undecaled, what do they call, blanks, for one of the blanks. So I think, plus a lot of people, just general hobby people, would have bought a new Taurus, a new Explorer, a new Caprice, a new Charger, a Tahoe, a Durango, something other than a kit that they already could go buy at Aldi's for $8. So, like I said, I get it. I get the idea. I get the gist of it. I can't, you can't complain about Revell, not going after kids when they go after the kids, because, they're doing what we asked them to do for so long, which is get more kids into the hobby. I just think on an overall scheme of things, without me saying, well, this is a stupid idea and Revell shouldn't have done it. It's not that. It's just that I think as something else, it would have sold more, and the kids still wouldn't have cared because they would have had a police car. You could have served two purposes at once, because look at how many adult modelers bought that 2015 Build and Play Mustang to customize. That thing is a painting canvas, a customizing canvas. And I mean, if you're 40 years old, you didn't buy one of those and then build it the way it came out of the box and put it on your shelf. You at least detail painted it. And if you didn't put new wheels on it, if you didn't do wild things to it, so somebody make a lead sled out of one, well, very unfortunately, but they made a lead sled out of it. It's a creativity box, basically. This is a small, simplified model kit. It costs $10. You're not going to be upset if you F it up. What can you do with it? And whether or not anybody would have gone, what can I do with this 2013 Caprice? Okay, yeah, there's only so many things you can do with it. But you would have sold it to serious adult modelers the way you did the 15 Build and Play. That Raptor, the Snap-Tight Raptor that's coming out, ironically also 49 parts. So I'm not sure why either that isn't a glue kit in the pre-painted line, or the pre-painteds aren't Snap-Tight, whatever. You watch, those things are going to show up all over adult modelers' benches. They're Snap-Tight kits. It's aimed at kids. The Snap-Tight kits, the Wheels of Fire Snap-Tight kits, are now slotting in between the Build and Play and the pre-paints. So there's like a 3-tiered system up to glue kits. Cool, very neat, something that was needed. You got to tier the system. It's one thing to be building, a 10-part snap tie kit, and then all of a sudden here's a 150-part glue kit. Ha, good luck. I appreciate the tiering of the system. I just think that, you watch how many of those snap tie kits show up on adult modelers' benches, and compare it to how many of these police cars would have shown up if it wasn't a ripoff of an existing kit. That's all I have to say about that. So, like I said, not bashing Revell directly, just questioning the overall scheme of things. So, the Porsche Carrera GT carbon fiber decals are in from Studio 27. Don't know about the photo etch yet. I haven't got billed for that, but I got billed for the decals yesterday. So, if you were looking for those, I hope you already had them ordered because they're out of stock because they sold all the pre-order slots on them. New kits that are really reissues, but they're in new boxes, so they're new kits. Fujimi got the first 2 of the February Fujimi kits here. You have this Volkswagen Golf GTI 420 SI Cox being the tuning house in Japan once again. This kit is a straight reissue of the last version of this Cox kit. However, this does, if you look underneath the 420 SI, you see that little yellow blurb of Japanese, and that does mean that this kit does come with window masks. So this kit, this generation Golf, because I have the VR6 version of it, does have an engine insert. It's one piece. You have to cut the hood out to put it in, but, if you were curious, that's what's there. The other kit that came out this week was the reissue of the Fujimi Nito Autobianchi A112 Aberth. Now, they did a little bit of work to this, guys. I went looking through the instructions, and I've sat down with the instructions for the Nito kit. It is the same kit as far as the body and everything else. It is the Nito kit. Or the Nito kit, or the Nito kit. I don't think it's not Nito. It's not Neato, but Fujimi has done some work to this kit in regards to making the chassis more palatable. They've sort of pitched the flat plate, no detail chassis that this thing came with from the 1980s, and they've replaced it with something resembling an actual chassis. It has a separate bottom of the engine. This sort of disguises the motorized nature of the front suspension. The front suspension has one of those tongue depressor tie rod ends where it's big, thick plastic one-piece thing. But the uprights, the struts, do have polycaps, and they are separate. There is a separate beam-style rear axle to cover the fact that there's a metal rear axle. There's also a metal front axle. We're going to talk about that in a second. And there's a completely separate exhaust piping system that runs from the engine bottom insert thing all the way out the back. The original version only had a exhaust tailpipe that went from the rear axle to the thing. It was basically the muffler and the end of the tailpipe. I don't think there's really anything that's been done with the interior. I think that pretty much is the same, and then the body is the same. This does come with the stock the stock A112 wheels and the stock A112 side body panels. If you look at the box art, the bottom of the car is black over the fenders, and the bottom of the door, that's a separate piece. And it's one with less aggressive flares that make up the stock A112. Now, I don't believe there's actually stock A112 decals in here. You only have the Aberth ones. And we're talking about that front axle. Hobby Search, always your source for directions. You can see here, as we go through the first couple of steps, that you have a separate polycap style system for the front and separate struts. And there's down here on step 2 is your tongue depressor steering axle, and there's your bottom of your engine that also has the bottom of your A-arms. But if you look, that metal front axle that has that big plastic gear stuck on one end of it, I kind of wonder whether or not the axle will fit all the way through and attach to the wheels without putting that big, goofy plastic gear on there or not. Because really, they must have bought a whole bunch of these, already made as far as some of the parts go, because why would you recreate that? If you went ahead and you retooled the chassis, why would you keep that little bit of motorized tooling? They took the battery box out, they took the They took the engine sling, the carrier where your electric engine would go, is all gone. The switching is gone. Everything you could do to motorize the kit is gone, except that little spoke wheel. And I just don't get why that was left there. And like I said, it'd be interesting to see if that axle's wide enough to get both tires on and not have them be like a real shrunken wheel width or not wheelbase, but track width difference than it would be if you left that big goofy gear on there. I mean, in a general sense, if you're going to build the kit, you're not really enter something like that in a contest. It's more of a shelf model, something to take to club meetings and be like, hey, check this thing out. What the hell is that? It's an Auto Bianchi A112A berth. Duh. But it's one of those. If you're going to build it as a shelf kit, just as a conversation piece, I don't think that the plastic gearing is that big a deal in the end. But I just sort of wonder why it was left. And then I guess we have the 3 other new kits, and they're not really new. They're just straight reissues of existing things, are the things that are coming out of Heller. Now, these were 2014 catalog things, but they just finally reissued these kits. These are straight reissues of existing kits, mind you, but they just came out here this week. This is the Hispano Suiza K6, 133 pieces, so this is a full detail kit. You also got the reissue of the Bugatti T50, 158 pieces. So, again, another full detail kit. And then, lastly, the DeHale 135, 160 pieces. So, you just keep getting more and more pieces in these, right? Again, straight reissue of existing Heller tooling. But it's the first time these kits have been packaged new for, ever. Heller, we've talked about this before. We talked about it, back the early end of last month, beginning of this month. We talked about them putting out all these new tool kits for Nuremberg and all the rest of that stuff, their receivership, their bankruptcy, and all the rest of that stuff. Like I said, they had said these kits were going to come out last year. They never did. They're out now. They're running about $31 through Hobby Search. I didn't check to see if they're available at HobbyLink Japan or not, but this may be one of those odd cases where buying them through Japan and re-importing them to the United States might be the better deal, only because the yen is so weak right now, because they're selling for 40, 45 euro, or not 40, selling for 37, 38 euro, which ends up being $45 US. So it might actually be cheaper to import them from Japan than it would be to buy them through Europe. Currency exchange. Hey. But if you're interested in Big C Classic kits, from what I understand, they're not bad kits. They're not real ancient. I've seen, if you want to go to and check them out, go to heller.fr/ENG. That'll give you the English language, should anyway. It did for me. If not, heller.fr will get you to the main website, and then there'll be tiny little flags at the top. One will be British. That's going to give you the English. Once you go in the English, you can go into the catalog or just look through their store, and you can pull up PDF files of their instruction sheets to see exactly what you're going to get with those kits. Like I said, they're full on detail, full engines, transmissions, drivetrains, the whole 9 yards. So if you're interested, like I said, in Big C classic cars, especially the Hispano, that's really getting to be pre-World War II. Then these kits are going to be back out there. Be interesting to see how much they'll go for in U.S. hobby shops and when they'll show up in U.S. hobby shops. The reason I bring them up now is because they're available in Japan. And usually by the time a European distributor distributes something in Japan, you can get it pretty much anywhere. I have not seen any for sale on eBay, but then again, I really haven't been looking. So be interested to see if that's a worldwide release or just a little statistical anomaly. And so that brings us, guys, to the reissues that we have for the month of February so far. Mostly, they all are Aoshima stuff. They have the big spot run list. This is the Machine X. We talked about this kit with the pictures of this car, from the Wikipedia site for Nissan Skylines. You get a little Kojak light with this. You get an engine computer and a great big spotlight and all sorts of goofy stuff. But it also has all of the stock parts to make a 2000 GT Turbo Skyline out of it, except perhaps the wheels. Although maybe those gold wheels were available as an option. This is the Saibu Kisatsu Machine X. Also being reissued this week, the 1970 Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR 4-door. I'm not sure this is actually a GTR if it's 4-door, but we'll just let them slide with that. The this is the Skylines that we talked about before have these first, second, third, fourth, fifth, 10th, whatever Skyline put up there. But this is a Best Car Vintage GT style kit, motorized chassis, still has all the motorized stuff with it. Tongue depressor, steering, got to pound the rivets into the front wheels, still has the battery box, still has the carrier case for the electric motor, all that happy nonsense. So, it is what it is in that sense. It's also probably the only one of them that you can get that way. From the Initial D, these are all, just re-spit out kits. We'll go here first. This is, of course, the Initial D Toyota Truno AE86 comic book volume 1 specification. Guys, we've been over these before because I get reissue them like every 6 months. But this is the basic Truno. It does have an engine insert in it. But it will build only the way the car comes, as far as there's no optional engine pieces, no optional intake, there's no racing seat, there's no roll cage, there's no nothing. It is just a straight up Toyota 86 Truno. Then you have the Volume 37, and this is all the way the other end of the spectrum Truno. This one has 2 intakes, two sets of valve covers, 2 sets of exhaust pipes, roll cage, racing seats. It is the other end of the Initial D series of kits where this had all of the parts included. You can build a straight stock 86 Truno out of it. Well, not stock because it has the Initial D specific wheels, but you can build a stock Truno more or less, or you can go all the way on the other end and build a racing Truno. So if you're looking for one, these kits are the same price. I think you should go for the Volume 37. It gives you more options. And then last but not least, we have the Initial D Mazda RX-7 FC3S. This is a right-hand drive only kit, but it does include, it says engine parts included. It is the top half of the engine. It literally cuts the belts in the middle of a pulley. So it's not really an engine, but it is an engine insert. Like I said, this is JDM only. There are no left-hand drive parts in this kit. And then we have, I've had one more. I have 2 more kits to talk about, but only one of the pictures is showing up here. This is the fabulous VIP Toyota Alphard minivan. It's fabulous. Let me see here. This is a November spot run that has finally rattled around and shown itself to the world. Toyota Alphard is the big full-size JDM only. It's I guess technically still a minivan because it's not like a full-size Chevy Express or anything like that. And apparently for some reason I can't. I think I have to stop it first. It's VIP, big wheels, big tires, all the stock parts except the wheels and tires are in there. If you wanted to just build a regular Alphard out of it, but like I said, you're gonna have to source the actual regular wheels and tires out of it because there's only the VIP thing. This is a great big box of parts. I mean, there's there's almost a couple sets of interior in here, all sorts of grills, all sorts of bumpers. If you wanted to build, have a box of Alphard parts laying around, then this is the way to go about it. And now we got to stop the photo thing. And let me see. I swear I downloaded the other picture from Hobby Search for what this other kit was. So let's see if I can find it. So anyway, blah, 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 blah. So how's the weather where you guys are, folks? Is it cold where you're at? Because let me tell you what, it was 15 degrees below zero ambient air temperature this morning at the place I stopped to get breakfast on the way home from Chicago. Holy moly, was that cold. I mean... I get it. It's cold. How cold was it? It was nostril freezing cold. That's how cold it was. Literally, you took a deep breath and you couldn't breathe anymore. Here it is. All right. So let me see where that went in the stack of stuff here. And Shazam. The Garson DAD ZX Edition Toyota Alphard. Holy mackerel, those wheels ugly. Well, at least in my eyes. This is another VIP van. I always thought the fact that these are American style. This car wasn't available in America. It can't be American style. Again, much like the other Alphard, it only comes with this customized set of wheels, but it does come with all the rest of the stock parts. And so again, it's another big box of Alphard parts. This is a October spot run that's finally breaking cover. So there's that. Holy moly, those wheels are awful. And I guess, guys, that's it. There's been a couple of other Studio 27 GT3 decal sets that have been announced at Wonderfest last week, which is like a big sci-fi con over in Japan. We didn't get any kit news out of there because, again, it was all sci-fi stuff. So it was, Aoshima and their Thunderbird kits and all the figures and all the rest of that stuff. So I guess that's pretty much it. So anyway, guys, until we see you next week, have a good week. See you on the other side.